After tonight, you won't have time for us anymore. The busty brunette's fingers slid through Ethan Blackwood's hair, her voice coated in exaggerated sadness as she worked her way over his scalp. Her lips brushed his ear. Your wedding is tomorrow. Ethan lounged back in the leather chair like a man born to rule, his body relaxed, arrogant, untouchable. Another model, blonde and impossibly polished, straddled his lap, her manicured nails gliding down his chest as she slowly undid the buttons of his dress shirt. Her breath was warm against his neck. Two more women hovered close. One lifted a chocolate-dipped strawberry to his mouth. The other tipped a glass of top-shelf bourbon between his lips, amber liquid spilling down his jaw. I don't care who I'm marrying. His voice was calm. Final. He didn't open his eyes. You'll still have my time, he continued smoothly. All of you will. The women laughed, some relieved, some uneasy. The blonde leaned in to kiss him, but the door flew open before their lips touched. One of his men stepped inside, head lowered, shoulders tight with urgency. Boss. We got the Alvarez brothers. Both of them. They're in the basement. Ethan's eyes opened. Flat. The eyes of a man who had watched others beg and felt nothing. Kill them. 2 words. No hesitation. No emotion. As casual as ordering room service. The man nodded and left. The door shut softly behind him. The women exchanged brief looks, the mood shifting, but Ethan's expression never changed. In his world, death wasn't tragedy. It was punctuation. The blonde resumed unbuttoning his shirt. The brunette's hands slid lower. Laughter filled the penthouse again, expensive, hollow, meaningless. Across New York City, a woman who loved him was preparing for what she believed would be the happiest day of her life. She had no idea she was stepping into hell. I admired my reflection in the salon mirror, my dark skin glowing beneath the warm lights. The stylist worked carefully, lifting and arranging my long braids into an elegant crown while the nail tech finished a soft champagne polish that shimmered every time I moved my hands. You look absolutely beautiful, Maria, the stylist said, her voice thick with emotion. Your husband is the luckiest man alive. I smiled, my chest warm and full. I'm the lucky one. Ethan Blackwood. Just thinking his name made my chest tighten. Tomorrow I would marry him. I had been 17 the first time I saw him. He was 20, visiting his grandmother during a charity event my parents attended. I remembered everything. The quiet authority in the way he moved, the sharp intelligence in his eyes, the way he spoke politely to everyone, even the staff. He felt untouchable. Out of reach. The beloved grandson of one of the most powerful women in Manhattan. I admired him from a distance, the way girls admire impossible dreams. I never expected him to notice me. I never allowed myself to hope. Years passed. Life moved on. I told myself that crush belonged to my childhood. Until 6 months ago, when his grandmother summoned me. I arrived at the Blackwood estate shaking, convinced I'd done something wrong. Instead, she studied me with piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through me. You will marry my grandson. My breath caught. I don't understand. I've watched you grow, she said calmly. You have integrity. Strength. You're not like the women who chase him. Her hand closed around mine. You're the one who can save him. Felt like destiny rewriting itself. Like a miracle I didn't dare question. I believed I was marrying the young man I once admired. I didn't know that man was gone. The wedding venue looked unreal. White roses spilled from every surface. Crystal chandeliers bathed the room in gold light. Candles lined the aisle. New York's elite filled the seats, whispering excitedly. His grandmother sat in the front row, smiling proudly. My parents stood nearby, my mother crying softly, my father glowing with pride. At the altar, Ethan stood motionless. His face showed nothing. His eyes were distant, empty, like his body was there but his mind wasn't. The music swelled. I walked down the aisle, my gown flowing behind me, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. When I reached him, I searched his face. He looked through me. He's just nervous, I told myself desperately. The vows came. My voice trembled, but I held it steady. I do. Ethan echoed the words, flat and hollow. His hands were cold as he slid the ring onto my finger. You may kiss the bride. The kiss was brief. A formality. Applause erupted. Tears fell. Cameras flashed. I smiled for them all, even as something inside me quietly sank. That night in our mansion I waited. 10:47 p.m. 11:30 p.m. 12:15 a.m. 1:30 a.m. 2:45 a.m. By 3 a.m. I was crying silently into silk pillows, still dressed in my wedding night lingerie, alone in a house too big for my pain. Somewhere else in the city, Ethan Blackwood drank champagne from another woman's mouth. His wedding ring sat abandoned on a table. 2 days later I learned why he never came home. And it shattered everything I believed about love. I woke up alone in the massive bed, sunlight pouring through curtains I didn't remember closing. The space beside me was cold, untouched. For a moment I lied to myself. He probably woke up early. Business. Meetings. Important Mafia things I didn't understand yet. At noon I called him. No answer. I tried again. And again. 7 calls in total. Each one went straight to voicemail, his deep voice calmly telling me to leave a message. I didn't. What was I even supposed to say? Instead I texted. Where are you? Nothing. Are you okay? Nothing. Please just let me know you're safe. Silence. Day 3. That morning I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles shadowed my eyes. I looked hollow, lost, like a ghost trapped inside her own life. No more, I told myself. I'm his wife. I have a right to know where he is. I got dressed, a simple cream blouse and tailored pants, and drove to his office, a sleek glass tower slicing through the Seoul skyline like a blade. The lobby was all black marble and chrome, cold and intimidating. Security guards stood stiff at attention as I approached the reception desk, my heart pounding. I'm here to see Ethan, I said, forcing confidence into my voice. I'm his wife. The receptionist, a young woman with perfect makeup and a practiced smile, shifted uncomfortably. Her eyes flicked to her computer then back to me. Mrs. Blackwood, she said carefully, Mr. Ethan isn't in the office today. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Where is he? He left early this morning. Around 10. It was past 2. Did he say where he was going? I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't have that information. The pity in her eyes burned worse than anger. I muttered a thank you and walked out, my cheeks flaming with humiliation. Where the hell are you? The mansion. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing. Maybe a meeting. Maybe an emergency. Maybe. Then I saw his car in the driveway. My heart leaped. He's home. I parked and rushed inside, relief flooding my chest. Ethan. I called out, my voice echoing through the grand foyer. No answer. I searched the living room, the study, the kitchen. Then I heard it. A sound from upstairs. Soft. Muffled. A woman's moan. I froze at the bottom of the staircase, my hand gripping the banister so tightly my knuckles turned white. No, it can't be. My legs moved without permission, carrying me up the stairs one slow step at a time. The sounds grew louder, clear, rhythmic. Then I heard his voice, low, rough, commanding. That's it. Just like that. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. I reached the master bedroom, our bedroom. The door was cracked open. I could see movement through the gap. My hand shook violently as I pushed it wider. Ethan was on the bed. Our bed. The bed where I had spent my wedding night crying alone. A woman lay beneath him. Petite, beautiful, dark hair spread across the pillow. Her legs were wrapped around his waist, her nails dragging down his bare back as he thrust into her with slow, deliberate control. Her moans filled the room. The bed frame creaked. My world shattered. What? My voice came out broken, barely a whisper. What is this? He stopped. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, he turned his head and looked at me. No shock. No guilt. No shame. Just irritation. Like I'd interrupted something trivial. Get out, he said flatly. The woman gasped, scrambling to cover herself, but Ethan didn't move. Didn't even pull away. Get out. My voice rose, shaking with fury and disbelief. Tears streamed down my face. This is our bedroom. We've been married for 3 days. I said get out. How could you? The words strangled in my throat. The woman grabbed her clothes and fled past me, muttering apologies. I barely saw her. All I could see was him, still lying there like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just destroyed me. Why? My voice cracked completely. Why did you marry me? Why stand at that altar and make vows if you don't even want me? He sat up slowly, reached for his shirt and pulled it on with infuriating calm. That's not my problem. Something inside me snapped. I want a divorce. The words exploded between us. His hands stilled. For the first time he actually looked at me. What did you say? You heard me. My fists clenched at my sides. I want a divorce. I'm done. I couldn't stay in that room another second. I turned and ran, my vision blurred by tears, my chest heaving. I made it to the hallway before my legs gave out. I slid down the wall, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. My whole body shook. How could I have been so stupid? How could I have believed this was real? Footsteps sounded behind me. Heavy. Controlled. Don't try it. I looked up through my tears. Jaemin stood there, fully dressed now, his expression unreadable. Try what? I forced myself to stand, my legs trembling. Leaving you? Escaping this nightmare? I'm done, Ethan Blackwood. You're not going anywhere. Watch me. I stepped toward him, my voice rising. I'll file tomorrow. I'll tell everyone what you are. Listen. He grabbed my wrist, not violently but firmly. I didn't want this marriage, he said calmly. My grandmother arranged it. She chose you, not me. My breath caught. She's dying. What? Cancer. Stage 4. 3 months. Maybe less if there's stress. His grip tightened slightly. If you divorce me now, if you break her heart, the shock could kill her faster. Is that what you want? My mind spun. His grandmother. The woman who had held my hands. Who had smiled at the wedding like it was the happiest day of her life. She was dying? You're lying, I whispered. I wish I was. Something like pain flickered across his face. She has 3 months. After that, he released my wrist. After that you can divorce me. Leave. Whatever you want. But not before. I can't. My voice broke. I can't stay married to you. Not after what I just saw. Not after. Then let me make you a deal. Then let me make you a deal. I looked up at him, confused. Ethan Blackwood's face settled back into that cold, unreadable mask he wore so easily. We stay married. Publicly. You play the perfect wife. At events, family dinners, in front of my grandmother. You smile. You hold my hand. You act like you love me. And in private? My voice sounded hollow even to me. In private. He shrugged like we were negotiating a lease. Do whatever you want. See whoever you want. Sleep with whoever you want. I don't care. The words hit me like a slap. You don't care? Not even a little. His eyes were empty. Dead. 3 months, Maria. Can you pretend for 3 months? I wanted to scream. To hit him. To run and never look back. But then I thought of his grandmother. The way she'd held my hands, eyes full of hope. The way she'd said, you're the one who can save him. I couldn't save him. I'd failed at that. But maybe, just maybe, I could give her peace in her final months. Fine, I whispered. 3 months. But after that, the second she's gone, I'm filing for divorce. And I never want to see you again. Ethan nodded once. Agreed. Then he walked away, leaving me alone in the hallway. I locked myself inside one of the guest bedrooms. I couldn't bring myself to step back into the master suite. I collapsed onto the bed and cried until my throat burned and my eyes swelled shut. I had married the man I loved. And he didn't even see me as human. I was an obligation. A performance. A 3-month contract. As the sun set outside the window, something inside me began to change. The softness hardened. The hope started to die. I'll make myself happy, I told the ceiling. With or without him. I'll survive these 3 months. And then I'll be free. I would smile at events. Play the loving wife. Give his grandmother peace. But in private, I would build walls so high Ethan Blackwood would never hurt me again. The first month was torture. I moved into a guest room on the opposite side of the mansion. Ethan didn't comment. We avoided each other with military precision. Breakfast at different times, different gyms, different wings of the house. But twice a week we had obligations. Charity galas. Business dinners. High-stakes conferences where appearances mattered. I wore designer gowns and diamonds. I linked my arm through Ethan's. I smiled for cameras and chatted with dangerous men in expensive suits. You two are perfect together, people said. We're very happy, I replied, my smile flawless. Ethan's hand would rest on my lower back, cold and impersonal. She's my whole world, he'd say smoothly. Then we'd go home and not speak for days. 6 weeks in, I started to change. I stopped crying. Stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. I got my hair done every week. My makeup grew sharper, less sweet, more powerful. I joined a boxing gym and hit the bag until my knuckles bled. The soft, hopeful girl who walked down that aisle was gone. In her place stood someone harder. Someone who understood that survival meant armor. At events I still played my role. But my smiles no longer reached my eyes. When I touched Ethan's arm, my fingers were ice. He noticed. Sometimes I caught him watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. I didn't care anymore. 8 weeks into the marriage, everything shifted. There was a major conference in Milan, a gathering of international power players discussing territory and alliances. I attended on Ethan's arm, wearing an emerald dress that made my dark skin glow. The room was thick with power and danger. Mrs. Blackwood, an Italian associate, said, "Allow me to introduce Michael Rossi, our partner in Mediterranean operations." Michael was tall, dark-haired, with warm brown eyes. His smile, real and unguarded, was the first genuine smile anyone had given me in months. He took my hand and kissed it gently. "A pleasure to meet you. Your husband is a very fortunate man. Please call me Maria." I smiled back, actually smiled. "And the pleasure is mine." "Michael speaks 5 languages, the associate added. "And he has an impressive art collection." "Maria, didn't you study art history?" "I did," I said, my interest lighting up. "What period?" "Renaissance mostly. But I have a weakness for Baroque." We talked for 10 minutes. About Caravaggio, Artemisia Gentileschi, light and shadow, beauty tangled with violence. I laughed. The sound felt strange in my own throat. 10 feet away, Ethan discussed weapons shipments with a Russian contact. He didn't look over once. I thought I could survive by forgetting him. I was wrong. Over the next 2 weeks I kept running into Michael. At a charity gala in New York, he appeared beside me while Ethan was busy with investors. "Maria, you look stunning tonight." I wore a deep burgundy gown. "Thank you. I didn't know you'd be here. My family funds this foundation." He handed me champagne. "Are you enjoying yourself?" "More now," I admitted. We talked about art, music, travel. He described the Amalfi Coast at sunset so vividly I could almost see it. "You should visit," he said warmly. "I'd love to show you around." "Maybe someday," I laughed. Across the room, Ethan glanced over. Saw us together. Saw my smile. He turned away. A week later, Michael arrived at a business dinner with sunflowers. "I saw these and thought of you," he said. Bright. Warm. Impossible to ignore. My cheeks heated. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." I buried my face in the petals. When was the last time someone gave me flowers I actually felt? Ethan sat at the head of the table discussing negotiations. His eyes flicked to the flowers. His jaw tightened. He said nothing. At another conference, this one in Tokyo, Michael and I sat together during the presentations. We whispered commentary. His fingers brushed mine. I didn't pull away. I liked him. He respected me. Made me laugh. Looked out for me. But guilt crept in. I was married. Even if my husband didn't acknowledge me. Even if he was a womanizer. Should I care about a man who doesn't care about me? I didn't know. But something told me Ethan Blackwood was about to make that question impossible to ignore. Michael and I started sharing inside jokes. The kind that didn't need explaining. He made me laugh so hard I had to cover my mouth, tears gathering in my eyes. When the session ended, we walked through the hotel gardens together, talking about everything and nothing. Music, travel, the strangest cities we'd ever visited. "You seem different from when we first met," Michael said thoughtfully. "Lighter somehow." "Maybe I'm just more comfortable now," I replied, smiling up at him. "You're easy to talk to." "So are you." His voice softened. "Your husband is a lucky man, Maria." My smile faltered. "Is he?" Michael stopped walking and turned to face me. "If you were mine, I'd never let you feel lonely." The words settled between us, heavy, dangerous. My heart stuttered. Not with love. Not yet. But with the terrifying possibility of it. The temptation of being wanted. Valued. I didn't know it then, but from the terrace above us Ethan was watching. And for the first time something twisted uncomfortably in his chest. He told himself he didn't care. He was lying. Hi besties, 2 hearts. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to subscribe to Mara Love Stories and tell me where you're watching from. That night Ethan came back to the mansion around 11 p.m. I didn't know the details then, only later pieced them together. But he'd spent the evening in a long business meeting, discussing territory disputes and weapons shipments. Things he claimed mattered more than me. Yet instead of thinking about profit margins he kept seeing my face, especially the moment Michael touched my hand. I was in the guest bathroom showering, trying to wash the day off my skin. When I stepped out, wrapped in my emerald silk robe, steam curling around me, I froze. Ethan was standing in the hallway. "What are you doing?" I asked sharply. He didn't answer. Just stared. And in that moment I felt it. His gaze lingering in a way it never had before. Like he was seeing me for the first time. "Ethan." I snapped. "Why are you staring at me?" "I wasn't," he said quickly. "You were. Go to bed, Maria." His voice came out rough. I pulled my robe tighter and brushed past him, my shoulder grazing his. I didn't look back. But later I learned he stood there long after I shut my door, wondering what the hell was wrong with him. That night I slept. He didn't. Instead he left and went to one of his private suites, the places he'd always gone when he wanted something easy. Meaningless. One of his regular women was there. Beautiful. Willing. But his body betrayed him. As all he could see was me. Laughing with Michael. Smiling at flowers. Standing in that green robe with water still on my skin. He left before anything happened. And came back to the mansion. I didn't know it then, but he stood in my doorway while I slept, watching me breathe, wondering why the idea of me leaving in a few weeks made his chest feel tight. The weeks that followed were hell. I changed. I dressed differently, bold, radiant, unapologetic. Jewel tones that made my skin glow. Confidence I didn't ask permission for. And I noticed something strange. Ethan noticed too. Especially when Michael was around. At a gathering in Hong Kong I wore gold. Michael's eyes lit up when he saw me. "Maria," he said softly. "You look like a goddess." I smiled, the kind of smile I hadn't given Ethan in months. Across the room Ethan watched, whiskey untouched in his hand. I saw the glass crack in his grip. At another conference in Singapore Michael took my hand while we laughed over nothing. I didn't pull away. And suddenly Ethan was there. "Stay away from my wife." The words were ice cold. I stared at him. "Excuse me. We're leaving." He grabbed my arm. "Let go of me." I snapped, yanking free. "What is wrong with you?" I said, "We're leaving." And I said no. I turned to Michael. "I'm sorry about this." "It's fine," Michael said calmly. "We can talk later." "No," Ethan said flatly. "You won't." He walked away. I didn't follow. The confrontation came later that night. I stormed into his study. "What the hell was that?" "You're my wife," he said. "It looked bad. It looked bad." I laughed bitterly. "You told me I could do whatever I want." "I changed my mind." "You don't get to do that." My voice shook with rage. "You slept with another woman in our bed 2 days after our wedding." "That was different." "How?" He had no answer. Tears burned my eyes. "You don't get to ignore me, humiliate me, treat me like nothing, and then suddenly act like you own me." "I don't think I own you." "Then why do you care if Michael makes me happy?" He didn't answer. I shook my head, disgust curling in my chest. "Stay out of my life, Ethan." And for the first time since we married I meant it. I turned to leave. I should have made it to the door. But Ethan caught my wrist. The contact was sudden, too familiar, too intimate. And before I could process what was happening, before he could stop himself, he pulled me back and kissed me. Hard. His lips crashed against mine, rough and desperate, like he was drowning and I was air. For half a second my body froze, not in desire but in shock. Then reality slammed into me. I shoved him. Hard. "Don't touch me." I stumbled back, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. "Don't you dare touch me." "Maria." "No." I pointed at him, my finger trembling with fury. "You lost that right. You lost every right to touch me. Stay away from me, Ethan Blackwood." "I mean it." I walked out and slammed the study door so hard the windows rattled. I didn't see it, but later I learned he stood there alone, chest heaving, lips still tingling from that single stolen kiss. It was the first time in his life a woman had pushed him away. And it ruined him. Over the next week something shifted. I felt it before I understood it. Ethan started showing up everywhere. Always at a distance, always pretending it was coincidence. Breakfast times lining up. Footsteps outside my room. Silence where his chaos used to be. He stopped leaving the mansion at night. Stopped answering calls from women whose names I never learned. I didn't know then, but he lay awake every night thinking about me. About the green robe, about my laughter with Michael, about the fire in my eyes when I told him no. He didn't just want me. He wanted what Michael had. One night I was on the phone in my room, pacing, trying to keep my voice light. "No, Michael, you didn't overstep," I said softly. "I appreciated you being there. 'Cause I'm okay. It's just complicated. I know. Thank you for listening." I didn't know Ethan was standing outside my door. Listening. When I hung up, I felt something in the air shift, like a thread snapping. He didn't just want me anymore. He needed me. And I was already slipping away. The next morning, Ethan woke up with a clarity that felt like ice water to the face. I didn't hear him say it, but later I'd understand it. He was in love with me. Not obsession. Not possession. Love. The kind that made his chest ache when I walked into a room. The kind that filled him with rage when I smiled at another man. The kind that made him realize he'd been cruel, blind, a fool. And he wanted to fix it. That evening he found me in the library. I was curled into an armchair by the window, reading a book on Renaissance art. The sunset painted everything gold. "Maria." I looked up, instantly guarded. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to you." "We have nothing to talk about." Then he did something that stunned me. Ethan Blackwood, arrogant, untouchable Ethan, knelt in front of my chair. "What are you?" "I love you." The words hit the room like dropped glass. I stared at him. Then I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "No, you don't." "I do." "Stop." I snapped my book shut. "You don't get to do this." "Maria, please." "You want me to believe you love me?" My voice cracked. "After you brought another woman into our bed? After you told me you didn't care? After you made me feel like I was nothing?" "I was wrong," he said hoarsely. "About everything. Until another man wanted me." I stood. "That's not love, Ethan. That's ego." "I'm leaving," I said coldly. "In 1 month, when this contract ends, I'm filing for divorce. I'll prove it to you." I didn't turn around. "There's nothing you can do. I could never be with someone like you." He didn't give up. For 3 weeks, Ethan became relentless, but not loud. Quiet. He left my favorite coffee outside my door every morning. Birds of paradise, never roses. A cliffside villa in California, deeded in my name alone. "I don't want your money," I told him. "It's not about money," he said. "You said you wanted the ocean." He took me to a private art showing just for me. Watched my face instead of the paintings. So I didn't bend. "You broke me," I told him one night, tears spilling despite myself. "I don't know if I can fix what you broke." "Then let me help you," he whispered. No. 1 week before the deadline, everything shattered. The attack came at 11 p.m. Gunfire. Explosions. Screams. Ethan found me frozen outside my room. "Come on," he shouted, pulling me toward the safe room. We didn't make it far. Viktor Volkov stepped out of the shadows, gun raised. "Your wife," he sneered. "Let's see how you feel when you lose something precious." I saw the gun shift toward me. Then Ethan moved. He threw himself in front of me. Bullets tore into him, shoulder, chest, side. I screamed his name as he fell. Blood everywhere. "I love you," he whispered. And then he went still. He was in a coma for 3 days. I never left his side. I prayed like I hadn't since my wedding day. When he woke up, his first word was my name. "Why did you do it?" I cried. "Because I love you," he said. "I'd take 1,000 bullets for you." Something inside me broke open. But the wound was still raw. And love wasn't enough to heal it yet. I pulled my hand back. I need time. I'm still shaken by what I saw. By what you did to me. Pain flashed across his face. Not the kind that bruises skin, but something deeper. "I understand. Do you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because I've spent 3 months rebuilding myself. Learning to be strong without you. Learning not to need you. My hands shook as I gestured, words spilling out in frustration. And now you show up like this and I don't know what to feel. Feel whatever you need to feel, Ethan said quietly. I'll wait. As long as it takes. 3 months passed. Ethan recovered slowly. The wounds healed, but he respected my space. He didn't push. He didn't demand. He just existed in my orbit, letting me set the pace. Then one morning his grandmother called us both to her estate. I arrived separately in my car and Ethan in his. The grand sitting room felt enormous, and we kept our distance as the old woman entered. She looked alive. Vibrant, more so than I'd seen in months. Grandmother, Ethan said slowly. You look well. That's because I am well, she replied, a mischievous sparkle in her eyes. I frowned. I don't understand. The doctor said. I lied. My breath caught. You've what? She chuckled softly. I lied about dying. I'm perfectly healthy. Have been all along. Ethan's jaw dropped. You lied about having cancer? Yes, she said, sitting like a queen on her throne. Before you get angry, let me explain. This was your third engagement, Ethan. The first 2 ended badly because you treated those women like toys. I knew if you married Maria the same way, with the same careless cruelty, you'd destroy the best thing that could ever happen to you. I blinked, stunned. You faked a terminal illness? To force you both to stay together long enough for Ethan to pull his head out of his ass? Yes. She gave a tiny shrug. And it worked, didn't it? Ethan stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. Really laughed. The first time I'd heard him laugh in what felt like forever. You manipulative, brilliant woman, he said, shaking his head. I prefer strategic, she replied primly. That night I stood on the balcony of my guest room watching the city lights. The door opened behind me and I knew without looking who it was. I've been thinking, he said softly. About us. About what you did. He stopped looking at me. About forgiveness. My chest tightened. You almost died for me, I said, my voice shaking. You changed everything about your life. You've been patient when I needed space. You've been, I swallowed, the man I thought I was marrying. Maria. But I'm still scared, I admitted, tears slipping down my cheeks. I'm scared that if I let myself love you again, you'll go back to who you were. That you'll hurt me again. Ethan crossed the balcony in 2 strides. He took my hands in his, gentle, careful. I can't promise I'll be perfect, he said. I can't promise I'll never make mistakes. But I can promise I will never go back to my old ways. I'll work every day to be worthy of you. And I love you, not because you're my wife, not because of some deal, but because you're you. Strong, beautiful, brave. And you saw something in me worth saving. I searched his eyes. Only truth. I want to try, I whispered. I want to start over. But if you ever... I won't, he said, cupping my face. I swear on my life. I smiled through tears. Then, let's start over. From the beginning? From the beginning. I hesitated. But I need to speak to Michael. I'm divorcing you first and then... He shook his head. Let's send him a letter. I don't think my heart will survive seeing you with him. When our lips met, it wasn't that desperate, angry kiss from months ago. This was soft. Full of promise and hope. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. I love you, Ethan whispered. I love you too, I said. And this time I meant it. 6 months later, we stood at a charity gala for children's hospitals. Everything was different. I wore a sapphire gown. My hand clasped his firmly. The smiles on our faces were genuine. He looked at me like I was the only person in the room. You're beautiful, he murmured. You've told me that 5 times tonight. I'll tell you 500 more times. I laughed, leaning into him. I love you. I love you too. We danced, we laughed, we were happy, truly happy for the first time since our wedding. Michael approached us during the cocktail hour. Maria. Ethan. He smiled, though there was sadness in his eyes. You both look happy. We are, I said gently. Thank you for everything, Michael. He nodded. If you ever need anything as a friend, I'm here. I know, I said, squeezing Ethan's hand before returning to his side. Later I found myself on the balcony alone, gazing at the city lights. Ethan came up behind me, draping his jacket around my shoulders. What are you thinking? He asked. About how far we've come. How close I came to giving up on us. I'm glad you didn't. Me too. I turned to face him. For the first time since our wedding, I actually feel like your wife. Like I matter to you. You matter more than anything. He kissed my forehead, and for the first time in months I felt truly safe. But in the shadows, watching from across the ballroom, a figure narrowed his eyes. Dmitry Volkov. Victor's younger brother. The one who escaped that night. He raised a glass in a mock toast. Enjoy your happiness, Ethan, he murmured. It won't last long. He dialed a number. It's me. I found them. And this time I won't miss. From a building across the street, crosshairs settled on the balcony where Ethan held me close. A finger hovered over the trigger. Did I do wrong by accepting him back? Did I do wrong by giving him a second chance? Besties, comment your thoughts. Will you give a cheating partner a chance?